Thank you, Domagoj. Good afternoon to everybody. I'm really more than happy to see all of you here in Zagreb, in Croatia. And thank you for the invitation to talk on the organization of the Conference on the Future of Europe. As you know, I feel very good and comfortable here in Croatia, the country I know best. Before I start, let me tell you, in order to somehow familiarize with you, part of my background. I used to be vice chair of a committee for European integration during our negotiation period, during our accession period. So I'm very familiar with the work of European Integration Committee or with the committees for European affairs. Let me go immediately into in medias res. So for us, it's needless to say that national parliaments are and will remain an important partner for the European Commission. For more than a decade, we have developed an active partnership based on, first, subsidiarity control. Mariot knows the best, my colleague who is in charge, who used to be in charge of national parliaments and still is. Then a rich political dialogue and fruitful direct contacts with the members of the Commission. National parliaments have a central role for linking the citizens and European institutions. The von der Leyen Commission is committed to close engagement with national parliaments. We are convinced that national parliaments can and must play an important role in the Conference on the Future of Europe that should start in spring this year. I read in the background note for this meeting that, I'm quoting, the participation of national parliaments in the Conference on the Future of Europe is not explicitly mentioned in any document of the European Commission. This is what I read in background note. I want to, if I may say, correct or rectify this immediately. The involvement of national parliaments is a key issue for me as the Vice President who has the main responsibility for the organization of the Conference on the Future of Europe. And I can tell you that the role of national parliaments in the conference will be clearly recognized in the communication that the Commission will launch next Wednesday, which means on 22nd of this month, during our college meeting. It's the only issue on our agenda on Wednesday morning. I also welcome the letter signed by 23 chambers in 20 national parliaments, which has been sent to President von der Leyen last month. In this letter, you rightly call for the close involvement of national parliaments in the preparation and in the organization of the conference. What are the next steps in this process? Right now, we need a pragmatic focus. Step one is for the European Parliament, the Council and the Committee to agree on the scope, format, structure and objectives of the conference. This could take a form of a jointly agreed text. It may be called joint declaration that would be open to input and signatures from other actors, such as the COSAC, but if I may say here, COSAC cannot give input as COSAC, but each national parliament individually, then Committee of the Regions, and the Economic and Social Committee. We need all hands on deck for the conference to be a success. So once again, this joint declaration, we are looking forward to the meeting of 3 presidents of the Commission, of the Council, and of European Parliament, which is scheduled for 30th or 31st of January, where we expect them to agree on joint declaration, and then everybody can join. To give you a sense of the time frame for this, the Commission would like to launch the conference on Europe Day, Day of Europe, on the 9th of May, and it will last, as you might already know, for 2 years. The launch could take place somewhere in Croatia. My proposal would be Dubrovnik, where I served as mayor for 2 terms, but let us see if it will happen or not. So my proposal would be during Croatian presidency on 9th of May, somewhere in the south of Croatia. If this is agreed, the Croatian Parliament should play an important role in the organization of this launch. The last December European Council, as you know, tasked the Croatian presidency to start working on the Council's position, and the Croatian presidency mentions the conference on the future of Europe amongst the priorities, as you heard from our Prime Minister talking a few minutes ago. As already mentioned, in 2 days, on Wednesday, the European Commission will present our contribution in the form of communication. I invite you, and through you, national parliaments, to send your feedback and proposals as soon as possible. Maybe this week or next week. So after Wednesday, this will be on the agenda of the Commission. Then we are looking forward to your contributions. This should be part of our constant political dialogue. The debate in the European Parliament has already started, with the Parliament having adopted a resolution on the conference last week in Strasbourg. Last Wednesday, Marianne McGuinness was chairing a part of this debate, so we are familiar with this. As you know, I'm frequently meeting different members of European Parliament, regardless of their political affiliation, in order to exchange views, and I will continue to engage. As Vice President McGuinness underlined during the December COSAC plenary, we cannot afford confrontation about who controls and who owns the conference. For it to be a real success, all of us must own it together, so the ownership will be ours. What is the content of the conference? Part of this joint process will be to determine the topics for discussion. The Commission envisages 2 strands of discussions. First, the first strand, based around the European headline ambitions, as set out in the Commission's 6 political priorities and the European Council strategic agenda. We want to gather the ideas of Europeans to ensure that the European Union delivers on what citizens want. Making a success of the conference is also about creating the right space for citizens to talk freely about what they want. Second strand of discussion should involve institutional matters, including the lead candidate process, the lead candidate system, for the election of the President of the European Commission, and transnational lists for elections to the European Parliament. Let me underline that the role of the Commission in this regard is that of facilitator or honest broker between the Parliament and Council, but citizens should have their say on these issues, and we should be ready to listen. The organization of the conference, to start with, we are convinced that the conference should build on well-established citizens' dialogues. You know that there were many of citizens' dialogues until now. More than 1,800 citizen dialogues were held, but we would like to amplify the role of this citizens' dialogue. We will go not only to capitals, but also outside the capitals. So it will be, we will do it, I'm sure, from the start of the conference. Of course, we have to talk to the authorities, but it's, the proposal is, and also the wish of our President, Ursula von der Leyen, is to go out of the capitals, go to regions, and talk and listen to citizens. President von der Leyen asked each commissioner to visit every member state in the first half of our mandate, and to engage regularly with national parliaments. This is the task of all of us commissioners within our mission letters. Each commissioner is asked to take part in conference-related events across Europe and engage with national and regional politicians as part of this. As a part of pre-conference, I already visited 2 days ago Estonia and Latvia. Next activity or next mission will be to Spain and Portugal in order to show that we are stretching from far northeast to the far southwest. It's also symbolical, but this was how I started my mission, although the conference hasn't been launched yet. We need to go further. The Commission believes that the conference must address a missing element in the citizens' dialogues, namely the connection between citizens' views and practical policy making. This is where the gap exists, and we are trying to fill this gap. We want to involve civil society, of course, and reach out to minorities, but also to entrepreneurs, to students, and to all walks of life. We want to hear from people from all ages, especially those who do not always engage directly with us. And as such, this process feeds into another area of my work, which is Vice President for Demography. In addition, the conference can build on the positive examples of participative processes in several national parliaments. Listening to your different experiences would be extremely useful and in this regard. And by the way, I look forward to the new proposal you put on the table to give extra flavor to the COSAC meetings by organizing dialogue sessions with experts and with civil society. It would be wonderful if we could build a bridge between the dialogues we will organize as part of the Conference on the Future of Europe and these new parliamentary dialogues in the framework of COSAC. As such, we could certainly strengthen and revitalize democracy in all member states. The Commission also sees an important role for national parliaments in the overall communication of the conference, in terms of the overall single branding of the conference and in adhering to the principles of the conference as will be set out in the joint declaration. On the Commission's side, all members of the College will play their part. I will be leading the Commission's work on the conference, but my colleagues, Vice President Jourova will focus on the institutional strand, and my colleague Vice President Šefčovič will be the main interlocutor on the interinstitutional issues. The European Parliament and Member States in particular, via national and regional parliaments, could also designate points of contact to act as public faces or to act as national ambassadors for the debate. That is a very effective way of increasing visibility, and I'm sure that this can work on national, regional, and local level. Finally, the outreach of information. Crucial to the outreach of the conference will be ensuring information is transparent and readily available at all times. The Commission sees the main hub for information flows about the conference in the form of new multilingual digital platform that will give the permanent access to the work of the conference. The platform should maximize easy access for all citizens and transparency in the process by live streaming debates, including all documentation related to the conference and the topics discussed, and by gathering the outcome of debates in one place. A calendar of the conference-related events should be made public via the platform, and meetings and large-scale events should be web-streamed wherever possible. What are our next steps? Discussion of this magnitude will only be fruitful if and when real action follows. The conference has to aim at establishing a real connection between citizens' views and practical policy making. President von der Leyen has therefore pledged to follow up on what is debated and agreed during the conference, including with legislative action and, if possible, or if proposals show in the end, even the treaty change. We are not opting for this. We are not predicting the outcome of these dialogues, but you never know. So we are completely open. As you know, this is also said in political guidelines of new Commission. This is a key element of the conference. It shows that democracy is a living, breathing process that goes far beyond the ballot box. And to conclude, I do not need to convince you that now is the perfect time to get going. There is a lot of positive momentum. Look at the high turnout which we mentioned here today during European elections last May. Europe overcoming years of fighting crisis. More Europeans than ever before have a job. Growth and investments are up. And people's support for our union being one of the highest it has been in almost 30 years. From this position of internal strength, we can now look forward and forge a vision for the future with every European citizen. But we need you to help make the conference a success. I look forward to you setting out in the coming few weeks your ideas and best practices on how national parliaments could get best involved in this process. So the sooner the better. After Wednesday, we are looking forward to your proposals. And I'm ready to answer your questions later on. Thank you.